you started this journey of peace players, and it grew. So from your experience of building these communities, and that makes an impact, that changes things, what are some of your findings on the recipe of success? Like, what are some of the traits that has really helped you build these ideas into this self-replicating i- interesting phenomena that changes the world? So what were your findings that has helped you create these large communities?
Yeah, it's an amazing question. I talk about it throughout the entire book, right? There are these 7 principles that I've observed that help grow an idea and turn it into a powerful and impactful movement, right? Like at the end of the day, we want all of our ideas, we should want all of our ideas to become movements, right? To become larger than ourselves. And I think the number one thing, and they're all really important, right, is the importance of not claiming sole ownership of an idea, right?
Hmm.
We as human beings are incredibly driven by ego, right? And I see it time and time again when like somebody starts to get the beginning stages of an idea, they recuse themselves and they go into these dark rooms and they think of all of the ways that they're going to profit from the idea and make a lot of money from it and uh, take over the world, right? As a result of what they are calling their idea. And my experience is that usually stands in the way of growth and progress. And that in order for an idea to really take off and grow into a movement, you want everybody that the idea touches to feel the same sense of pride of ownership and authorship in what is getting created, right? Because then you give the idea these wings, right? It's not just you as one person pushing it forward, you know? And if we can understand that the ideas that we help to bring to life have always existed, they've been on the tip of the universe's tongue, waiting to be brought to life. Our role is to like help bring them further into life, but let so many others like feel like they're a part of that growth and that trajectory. So we were very clear when we showed up to South Africa as our first country that this idea of sports to unite wasn't ours, right? It had always existed. For thousands of years, people have been playing sports together and making incredible friendships, right? We weren't the first to have done this, so it wasn't ours to claim ownership of it. We also showed up to South Africa in an incredibly humble way. When we showed up in the communities for the first time where we were going to be coaching, we're like, we want to be clear, we are not here. We don't have the answer to solve hundreds of years of violence and racism and segregation. You know, we know how to dribble a basketball and we know how to set up a little bit of infrastructure, but our role is to be quietly behind the scenes helping all of you shine. This program in South Africa in particular, and then for later in the Middle East and in Northern Ireland and Cyprus and all the countries, it works when the local communities take complete control and ownership of it, right? And they mold it to whatever is going to meet their needs. It doesn't work when we come in and say, hey, as a couple white Americans right off the plane, we have the answer and the solution to solve all of your problems, right? That would never work. So I think the first step is to really understand, and I know you've got a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this, that the more people that you touch who you can transfer the pride of ownership and authorship in what is getting created, the more opportunity you have for it to succeed well past your wildest imaginations. And throughout this conversation, I'll give you lots of examples of programs and companies and things that we've built over time where we've seen that kind of philosophy play in.
Interesting. And what are some of the misconceptions? So when you started this, let's talk about peace players. You want to expand it. What are some of your misconceptions, and what you did when you were facing them, when you were sort of evolving through them? If you can walk us through some of those experiences.
When you say misconceptions, what do you mean by that?
So basically, so you have a plan, right? And then life hits you, right? So those moments where you anticipated things to go place X and it went it into place Y, and if you can walk us through what some of those examples.
Yeah, so look, I'll give you one example, and then I'll give you another one as well. in South Africa, when we showed up, we came in to be an organization that used the sport of basketball to bridge divides between white kids and black kids, primarily. And the program was really succeeding. And as a result of living in South Africa, we were at the heart of the HIV/AIDS epidemic. A third of the population was dying. Vishal, when you would go into a rural community, there would be no young adults. It would be all kids and grandparents. That 20 to 40-year-old population had been completely evaporated for the most part. And we saw it. I saw it and was sad, right? But I remember one day we were running one of our basketball programs, and couple of the parents and teachers came and they pulled us aside and they said, "What you guys are doing is incredible, right? You and your coaches have captured," we called our coaches change agents. They were so much more than basketball coaches. "You and your change agents have captured the attention of our kids," right? We were working with like 12 to 14-year-old kids, "have captured the attention of our kids in a way that we as parents and teachers are incapable of. Our kids literally won't listen to us anymore. But your coaches are role models and heroes to them. They are bringing them this exciting new sport of basketball, and they are hanging on their every word. And if we are not aware of this, and if we are not careful, all of those kids will die, and the coaches, if we're not able to get them proper HIV/AIDS education and awareness." And they asked us to develop a curriculum that in some creative way would pass on these important life skills to help make sure that these kids were making good, safe, smart decisions every step of the way. And look, we thought about it overnight, and it wasn't on our radar, right? We didn't know the first thing about developing that kind of curriculum. That wasn't why we traveled over an entire ocean to South Africa. It wasn't part of our plan. But the community, right, who had this sense of pride, of ownership and authorship in it, had seen that the program could be so much more than we had ever expected it to be. And they came to us and asked us to make a fundamental shift or an addition to what we were originally doing. And so we went all in, right? We invested a ton of resources. We pulled together a team of the smartest minds around developing alternative curriculums on the planet, Harvard University and universities in South Africa. And we formed this incredible collaboration and developed a world-class curriculum that addressed that our coaches and change agents, these 18 to 22-year-old young adults, one, would help them understand the risks and the things to be aware of, but two, that they would teach this next generation. So we went from basketball practice 3 days a week to just being basketball to at the end of every practice, you'd sit under a tree and for 20 minutes, there'd be this interactive life skills curriculum that our coaches would deliver, and our kids were hanging on every word. We had captured their attention. So look, I think, that was a lot of people call them obstacles, right? We would call them opportunities. And again, it's if we're not able to deeply listen, then life's going to go by. Right. And we're going to miss so many things. And there's some opportunities that are going to come and they're just not going to be good fits. But again, it goes back to the beginning thing that we talked about is you got two opportunities: sit on the sidelines and hope someone else does it, or you do the heavy lifting yourself. And it was a significant fundamental shift in why we had showed up in the beginning, but it really defined our program. And then as we went to other countries, they had other challenges outside of HIV/AIDS that were relevant to them in that moment that we helped to address through the program and through conversations with the local community. The second piece is, this is a little bit of an entrepreneurial journey, but we have to block the words can't and no out of our vocabulary, right? I would tell you that on any given day, if I ask 10 things of somebody or a group of people, I'm going to get 9 no's, right? It's the word that I hear the most, right? Because we dream big, right? We expect greatness. And a lot of times people can only see what's right in front of them. They're not able to see what something ought to be. And they get stuck in that small mind mentality. And as entrepreneurs, we have to understand that it's our responsibility to transcend that can't and that no. Now, look, I want to be clear. First of all, the more people who tell you no, the more important it is that you push harder, right? Because they clearly are stuck in the old ways and can't see what something could be, right? And so that's so important. The other thing is that there's real lessons in the no. And the thing that the no has taught me over years is that it becomes critical with all of those no's that we approach bringing that idea or like getting around that one problem, that we bring that to life in a really different way. Because it's going to take more than just us muscling our way through something. It's going to take a movement to get past that. It's going to take an army of people to have them be the ones who are pushing against the no, and not just you as a tiny individual. So look, there's going to be roadblocks throughout the entire journey. And there are, even now that we've had great success, there are roadblocks every day. And they are meant to serve as lessons and meant to make us stronger.